It is day 3 of SEC Media Day, and Kalen DeBoer finally got his first chance to get up in front of the podium and talk to national and local media that made the journey over there to Dallas for SEC Media Day. And Kalen DeBoer talked about a lot of different things that we're going to break down on today's show. He spoke about Jalen Milroe and the leadership that he brings to the team, as well as the special skill set that he brings to Alabama. He talked about the transfer portal, some guys leaving, and some of the guys that they were able to bring back or bring to this program. He also talked about, there's been a lot of discussion about who is going to be the guy that follows the legend, follows Nick Saban. And I think Alabama definitely got the right guy there for the job. He also talked about recruiting, considering a lot of people said he wasn't going to be able to come in and recruit the South at the same rate as Nick Saban did, which he's shown in the first 6 months already. He has been able to do that. And he also talked about just the Southern culture being in the South. And it just brought a lot of memories back for me being from the South as well. But before we get into all of that stuff today, make sure you guys like today's show. We are just 2 weeks away from Alabama beginning fall practice. I cannot wait. I've never been more excited for an Alabama football season besides this one. So if you guys are excited just like me, I think everybody liking this video should be super excited for Alabama football to start just getting back into things. Make sure you guys like today's video for me right now. Like I said in the opening, we're going to talk about SEC Media Day and what Kalen DeBoer had to say about a variety of topics today in day 3 of those SEC Media Days. And I will say, just bear with us, there are a lot of quotes. If there's one big difference between Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban, it's that Nick Saban usually gave a lot of short answers. Well, Kalen DeBoer gives a lot of pretty long answers as well, but a lot of good information that I want to share with you guys today. The first thing he talked about, he was asked about Jalen Milroe and his leadership and everything that he brings to the team. He said, "I can look back just last week, a moment with our team, and not to get into the details, but him standing up and speaking, it was positive and it was accountability. That mix of everything that great leaders do in building up your team, but also just reminding them of what it's going to take for us to reach the goals that we have. He's done a great job balancing that and has grown a lot when it comes to that area. He's got a skill set that is special. He can, with his arm, make you pay. And he can make the throws, and I think he continued to grow in that area of building confidence in himself, tirelessly working with the receiving corps and all the skill players to just be on the same page. I think he's continued to expand on his game with the different throws that he can make downfield or down the field. He's been strong. A year ago, he was one of the best in the country in downfield throws. He's continued to work on those higher percentage throws that you need to move the chains. He just dives into it. There's no one that's going to beat him into the facility from a player's vantage point. He's there at 4:30, 5 o'clock every single day. When he's there, it's not just punching in that time clock. He's done a great job being efficient and doing everything that he can mentally and physically to be ready for this fall. Now, before we talk about it a little bit more, I want to know your guys' confidence level in Jalen Milroe. It is the pinned comment on today's video, so you know what that means. If that ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Scale it for me 1 to 10 right now in the comments section. Look, I think one of the best things about Jalen Milroe is he is a very, very good leader. You saw it last year versus the South Florida game. When he didn't start that game, you had Tyler Buckner start the game and then Ty Simpson come in. And he didn't sit over on the sidelines and pout the entire time. He was, standing up beside Nick Saban, ready to go in if he were to be called upon, which I don't think that was ever really the plan. But, he was there. When Alabama scored, he was the first one. He was running out onto the field to congratulate, Ty Simpson, especially. There was a very, viral moment at the end of the game where he just ran up to Ty Simpson and gave him a, just super big hug. And I think his work ethic is just absolutely next level. You've heard it before, a couple months ago, people were saying he's getting there at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we were like, I don't know. That seems like a little bit of a stretch. But then Kalen DeBoer has come in and said it again that he's getting there at 4:30, 5 o'clock every single day. And that's what you want as a quarterback, especially for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then when you look about, him getting better going into this 2024 season, Kalen DeBoer brought it up last year. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the country on that deep ball. He had 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 touchdowns to 1 interception on passes over 20 yards. What Jalen Milroe really needs to get better at this year is being able to work in that 10 to 20-yard range. He did a pretty decent job from the line of scrimmage to the first 10 yards. But for the most part, 10 to 20 yards is what he really needs to improve on this year. And I think all the work that he's put in the offseason, he is definitely going to get better in that area. And then what he did for you last year was just, in the first year of being a starter, I think it's pretty decent. You can nitpick different things that Jalen Milroe did wrong. There was a couple times last year in the Iron Bowl, had a touchdown called back because he was 4 yards downfield when he threw the ball. You can't have things like that happen. But if you stay around, that 500-yard rushing mark is pretty fine. You up the passing completion percentage a little bit. You up the passing yards. I think Jalen Milroe is going to be special for Alabama in 2024. Now, Kalen DeBoer also talked about the transfer portal and what he had coming in, people who left, people that they brought in. He said, we were able to retain pretty much the entire roster. We did lose 2 guys to the transfer portal, but overall, between winter and spring, we did pick up 14. Guys that I think don't just add depth to our program, but they can come in and make a difference, and they add to the guys that have continued to develop and grow within our program. These are the guys, we talked about them a little bit the other day, that I think are going to be the most impactful transfers for Alabama this season. Obviously, there's, a few more guys as well, but these are the guys that are pretty much going to start for you at the end of the day. Jeremy Bernard, we've talked about him so much. I think he's going to be probably the leading receiver for Alabama in 2024. It was massive getting Caden Proctor back from the transfer portal because before he came back, we had no idea what was going to go on from that tackle position. You're just kind of putting your chips in for Wilkin Formby and Elijah Pritchett, and you hope those guys are good, but you don't know, until you see it. So Caden Proctor having a year of experience under his belt, coming back. You upgrade at center as well with Parker Brailsford. And then that safety spot, you're getting Keon Sabb. You get Damani Jackson, a former 5-star, to fill one of those cornerback spots that you lost. LT Overton, I think he's going to be really good on that defensive line for Alabama. And then we saw in the spring, Connor Talty just didn't seem like he was ready. So you get Graham Nicholson, the best kicker in the country. And then I put Gino Vandermark on here because I think if any of those interior guys go down for you along the offensive line, he is going to be that first guy up, whether it's that center or that guard position. So let me know in the comment section right now, which transfer do you guys think will have the biggest impact in 2024? Caden Proctor probably is the answer there, but I think Damani Jackson, for me, if you're taking Caden Proctor out of that, I think Damani Jackson is the biggest one for me. So let me know right now in the comment section, what transfer do you think will have the biggest impact for Alabama in 2024? And now, to me, this is one of the biggest topics that I wanted to hit on as well, talking about Kalen DeBoer following Nick Saban, the greatest college football of all time. He said, I totally get it. I understand that there's only one Coach Saban. There will only ever be one Coach Saban, and this program is special. I just take it as a great honor to be the one that gets to do everything we can to carry on the great tradition. Me personally, it was just more about understanding that coaching football is just coaching football to some aspect, and you have got to try to simplify it down as difficult and as complicated as you can make it sometimes. I've done this for enough years that I've seen what good culture looks like and maybe what culture that needs to improve on looks like. And it has been an awesome blessing to be a part of this program, to continue to have that expectation on us. The alternative is to be at a place that doesn't have expectations. I certainly acknowledge that. I certainly acknowledge what you said, but we're just going to focus on this team and be the best that we can to continue to build on the great tradition of Alabama football. Now, this is absolutely the guy that you wanted to follow Nick Saban, because I've always said this even way before Nick Saban retired. I wanted the guy that had the balls to come in and be like, you know what Nick Saban did was absolutely phenomenal. The best college football coach of all time. But at the end of the day, that's all in the past. We're looking forward. It doesn't matter what Nick Saban did in the past. And when you talk about, he wants to be in a place that does have those expectations, because the alternative is to be in a place that has no expectations at all. And that is not the kind of thing that Alabama football fans in particular have. We have those high expectations to win national championships, because that's what we do at Alabama. And I love when Coach DeBoer said, coaching football is just coaching football. Because at the end of the day, what Nick Saban talked about all the time, in all 17 years of his career at Alabama, was you have to block out the outside noise. And if you continually have these people, you're listening to the news or whatever, to ESPN, these big-time media platforms that, what Coach Saban did was so great, there's no way anybody's going to come in here. We've heard it all. They said that Coach Kalen DeBoer wasn't going to be able to come in and recruit the way Nick Saban did. Well, he has, because in large part, he's ignored what everybody has said he can't do. And Kalen DeBoer knows what winning culture is. That's what you want as a head coach, somebody who knows that and somebody that can bring it in. Alabama already had the winning culture, but if they didn't, he would be the guy to bring it in. He was at Sioux Falls as a player when they were bad. He was part of that team that was able to grow the culture and build the culture there to win those national championships at Sioux Falls, and then ending up becoming a player or becoming the coach there and continuing that culture as well. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to continue that winning culture here with the Alabama Crimson Tide as well. And if you guys are ready for football just like I am, make sure you go to chatsports.com/NFL jerseys. You can get any of those players who were Alabama alumni now that are in the NFL. Just go to chatsports.com/NFL jerseys. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. And as a lot of you guys also know, there was a lot of conversation about whether or not Kalen DeBoer was going to be able to come in, somebody who's never been in the South, being able to come in and recruit the South. And that's what he had to say about that. He said, I knew it was important to put the right people around me as much as I can, preach about relationships and getting to know guys and feel like this is the program that they want to be a part of. I understand that there has to be familiarity with the region and familiarity with coaches to be able to get started and to get off to a fast jump here, especially these early days, because you were behind when you come in and it's the middle of January and you haven't even put a staff together yet, and all of a sudden it's the end of January and you got a week or two to hit the road, and it's the last time that you can hit the road other than a little time in May. And by that time, the official visits are all set up for June. We were just behind. And so I had to have a staff that would work well together. I think it's all hands on deck with our staff. Those within the building would feel that kind of sharing, that it's a team effort, but we also have some guys and staff on the field and off the field that just work relentlessly every single day to build those relationships to help us get guys to campus. I think that's where we're at our best, because the culture of our team, as we have that energy within the building, when prospects do come in onto campus, they see that this is something that they want to be a part of, and all of that together has led to success early on. Obviously, it's an everyday thing. It never stops, but we certainly understand that having the right guys in our program is going to make us better coaches in a lot of different ways. And like I said, so many people have brought this up, that Kalen DeBoer wasn't going to be able to come in and recruit at the same rate as Nick Saban. You heard the Husky Harsin claims. Well, those are absolutely out the window. Those really can't be brought up anymore. And I understand, the results on the field are what matters the most, but you got to have those players continually coming into your program. And also, I don't think enough people have talked about this either. There are so many people behind the scenes that stayed on the staff. It's not like when Nick Saban left, absolutely everybody in the Alabama football program left as well. You've got the strength and conditioning staff with David Ballou. You've got the recruiting staff that Nick Saban had in place there as well. So there wasn't a lot of drop-off. There was, really Kalen DeBoer came in and kind of asked those people, okay, where are we at? How do we need to move forward from here? And in his first 6 months, he has gone absolutely ballistic on the recruiting trail. First things first, Ryan Williams, after Nick Saban retired, decommitted from Alabama. Kalen DeBoer had to come in and recruit Ryan Williams and get him back on or in the 2024 recruiting class. He was able to do that. And he was also able to keep him after spring practice. Obviously, he didn't come in for spring practice, but you still had to, have that time where, Ryan Williams at the end of the day could have still gone into the transfer portal. You got 4 5-stars so far in the 2025 class. You're the number 2 overall class in 2025 per the 247 Sports Composite Rankings. On3 has them as the number 1 class in 2025. You got 10 top 100 players and 22 commits in the first 6 months. I would say that is a very good start for somebody that they said was not going to be able to recruit in Tuscaloosa. So grade Kalen DeBoer right now in the comments section. Grade him on the recruiting trail so far, what you guys have seen from Kalen DeBoer. Grade it A, B, C, D, or F right now in the comments section. And one of my favorite things, honestly, that Kalen DeBoer talked about was just the Southern culture and what it's like moving to the South. He started off by saying, I sweat a lot more. It's hot, which it absolutely is in South Alabama. I think people are what makes places. I've lived in a lot of different places around the country, from the Northwest to over by Detroit, in the Midwest, in South Dakota, to Fresno, California, to Carbondale, Indiana, and now here in Tuscaloosa. I think people are always what makes places. There are just so many great people in Tuscaloosa, and obviously their passion about their football has really made this transition smooth and enjoyable. It probably is the closest place that reminds me of being back in South Dakota. There's obviously no coastline in South Dakota, but there's just a lot of great things that are similar to what makes it feel like home. Now, I love the heat comment just to start off, because the heat in Alabama is absolutely just a different beast, a different animal. But my favorite comment there was, people are what make the places. And that is absolutely true when it comes to the University of Alabama, when it comes to the South in general. So many people down there. Southern hospitality is absolutely a real thing, and everybody has always made, people feel like they were at home, coming as outsiders. And Nick Saban always said the same thing about Tuscaloosa always feeling like home to him. There were always, throughout his career, there were different times where, there were rumors that he was going to leave, and he was always like, no, Tuscaloosa is home. It definitely feels like home to me, and they made it their home for 17 years, and we will always appreciate that from Coach Nick Saban. And make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We are so close to Alabama football season really kicking off here, just at the end of August. We're going to be kicking off here for Alabama football, so make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss those watch parties that we have coming around the corner.